So what do you do when you can't hit your hybrids? You reshaft them. Let's talk about that in the next Boxes to Build Volume 4. Welcome back to the mcgolfshop. I'm Jim McCleary, most awarded certified clubmaker club fitter, and this is mcgolf, where we talk about club reviews, club fittings, and club repairs. And if you would, like the video below and swing and hit the subscribe button, and that way you'll see more of these when they become available. So we have Clive from Killeen, Texas. He's having issues with his hybrids, all right, and he has Big Bertha, Heavenwood, 3-wood, and a 5-wood. He's having issues and would like them a little heavier. However, upon inspection, I find out that these are their RCH 75W, and then they say regular on them. Now, the 75W, I'm assuming, stands for wood, because these are fairly old shafts, so they're woods. So I put them on the frequency machine, and these things came out into the A-flex somewhere. And that was kind of the problem with the RCH system, was that the quality of the shaft build was not nearly as tight as they are today. So what we're seeing is that this one is very, very loose, and so we are going to put in one that is much better. But this is a bore through, and that's what we're going to do, is we're going to show the bore through. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but hopefully we'll make it look better, and I'll take some pictures. But it's actually in pretty good shape. It's very, very lightly scratched, you know, and that's from play. And the top is in really good condition. And we're just going to have to take this guy off. Alright, we're going to take that guy off. There we go. And the only way to do that without really hurting too much is to use my special adapter tool that goes over top of that. I heat this guy up, put it in the puller, off it comes, and then we go to put it back on, and that's the real trick. So this is the club assembly portion of that. So give me a few minutes here, and we're going to pull this guy, and then we'll put them back together. Alright, we've got them both removed, and the thing you have to remember on this is that it has a shoulder. The piece that's in here is much bigger than that goes out of here, and that's the reason why they use a ferrule that looks like that. Alright, so that sleeve goes into there, and then that takes up all that extra room, so it comes out the same there. Alright, so it's a little bit different. And they want to use a wood, and I've got to use a hybrid. So this is going to be a little bit more of a different setup than you guys have seen before. Okay, one of the big things that you got to worry about when you pull that original piece off the head is that you get some leftover ferrule or glue in there, and that's what I just found. I found some extra. So the easiest way to do is just put the flame inside there real quick and then hit it with your gun, and then it cleans it up really easy. So now what's the trick here? I've already got it spined and ready to go, but as we see, it doesn't want to go in. So I've got to mark it, and we got to work this tip over a little bit to make it so that it fits in there. Okay, so with a little bit of sanding, we get it in there. It fits in there nice and neat, and what you want to do is that the very end of the shaft sticks out just barely above the edge, so that when you go to sand it off, that it looks nice and smooth. And that's what we've got it into. So we've got this one done. Now we got to go do the other one. Okay, if you look at it, we did the other one just like it. And now it's time to glue the clubs, and we use one more thing. Now what we use is a tip pin, and that's a tip pin. Tip pin goes right on in there, and it fills up that void so that it looks like a nice smooth transition. However, what we see is, see how that sticks out over here? So I'm going to cut a little bit of that off. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring it against the length, and I don't want it sticking out past there. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of that off, and then we're going to glue it all together. Alright, I wanted to show you the assembly of this, only because this one isn't exactly the easiest thing on the planet. So like everything else, I'm going to get a piece of glue underneath here, and or some glue underneath here so that the hosel stays on. And we'll spin it around. Alright. Now I will tell you, this thing gets messy, so if you ever get anything on your hands, always have plenty of these around so you can wipe them off. Otherwise you'll get a film of glue that gets on here that is really hard to get off, and you don't want to go there. Alrighty, so you see I don't have it in there just all the way, so what I like doing is just tapping it down to where it's just right where we talked about, where it's just over the edge there. And then what I do is I'll rough up this pin here. You notice I've already cut the tip off of it, and what I do is I rough the edge up, that way it gives the epoxy something to hold on to. There we go. Get that going in there, but first we'll set that to the side, and we get more glue on here. And then the easiest thing to do is stick it in on this side, because this is that's one size and this is another size, so now I've got all the glue inside there that I need. And then I get it on this side. And then I find my flow marks again. A little tap. And then what you really want to do, you make sure you get the top of the ferrule. And then what's really important here, since this is a painted surface, and you can see a little bit, there we get it to focus, that you wipe around here so you can get all the glue and all the crap off of that so it looks good, of which we just did. Let me go back to this tip pin. We get it in there, nice, swirl the glue around. See, I got some stuff on my hands. It doesn't look like much, but there it is. See, it's just a little bit, enough to make your day go bad. And then what I do is I get that in there like that. And then I will wipe the bottom part here down so it looks good. There we go. And then a piece of tape to hold everything together. And then that's the reshafting of a bore-through hybrid. Again, one things you got to remember is that it is a shoulder, so the top piece is bigger round than the small piece, and you need that right ferrule so it holds it in place. And when it holds it in place, it's more secure, it doesn't wobble, and it doesn't want to break. The other part is the tip pin. You want the tip pin being the right size that it sticks inside the head. You get the outside of the pin braided very well so the glue has a place to stick. You make sure everything is clean, the top, the bottom, the sole, all of it, before you put the tape on, and then put it in there and let it dry. And then the real fun begins. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Welcome back to the mcgolfshop, and it's day 2 of Boxes to Build Volume 4, where Clive from Killeen, Texas sent us a pair of Big Bertha Heavenwood hybrids to reshaft because he couldn't hit the other ones, and as I found out, the R-Flex, regular R-Flex, had a flex of in the 2.0, which was like in the amateur range, almost into the ladies flex. So we are going to put in some hybrid shafts. These were actually had wood shafts in them, which was probably the reason why they were so flexible, and put some hybrid shafts to give them a little more beef and a little more control. And so that's what we've done. We've installed, let me show you that, the Acra, there we go, the Acra I series. It's an 80-ish gram, and it's in the stiff flex because that's what he wanted, something in the firmish stiff area, which is about what this is. And we reshafted them. Now you saw the pulls yesterday where I used my special tool in order to prevent from marring the paint up in this area and getting over top of this really thick hosel. And now we've put our tip pin in there from last night, and now we're gonna sand it down, and we're going to make the bottom look nice. Now the good thing here is that this was a heavily chromed sole, and to take a lot of punishment, right? And this one is in pretty good shape. I mean, it's got your traditional scratches on it, but no real deep ones, so that when we go to polish this is going to look good. So I'm going to try and get a before and after kind of picture that I'm going to post at the end of the video. So if you guys want to see what the work looks like before and after, there you are. All right, first things first. You know, I did this later last night, not super late. And we always check the glue. All right, you want to make sure that it's hard, all right, and it's not gooey, and it's not even leaving fingerprints behind now, so that's a good thing. Because if you did it while it was gooey, when you start working on this and it gets hot, you have the real opportunity of pulling this pin out, and that's not what we want. So first thing we're going to do is cut this guy off. Now I just use a regular saw, but it's a back saw. And all I do is I give it a good cut. You see how it starts moving? Snap it off, and there you go. Now I'm going to take you over to the my jet belt sander, and we'll show you the steps we're going to take to make this guy look better. Okay, so what we've got here is my jet 8-inch belt sander, and because I have to remove some material, and not a whole bunch, but in order to get it quickly, I've gone to my sandpaper. Okay, it's a 100 grit sandpaper, 120 grit sandpaper, and all I'm trying to do is remove the bulk of this, and then I'm going to shape it down into the smoothness that you're going to see, and then we're going to polish it off. So I'm going to get my bench started, and then we're going to get right to it. Alright, so what I did is I took it down, as you can see, it got a little bit of marring, which is expected. Now we're and it's not quite finished all the way, so now what we're going to do is shift belts, smooth this out so that when we go to polish it, it's going to look good. Now if you take a look, see how it's mostly gone already? And that's just with one belt. Normally this is a 2-belter, but because it was in such good condition, it was easy to deal with. Now I'm going on to my sisal wheel. Change this over. I'm going to my sisal wheel, and the sisal wheel is a stitched buffing wheel. It's a stitched buffing wheel that has black rouge on it. And you got to kind of lay into this one. You're going to make some, I mean, this is pretty good the way it is, but I want to make it so that it looks shiny again for Clive in Texas. Alright, and there you go. It's got a nice, that looks really uniform. It's smooth as the baby's butt. And all that looks cleaned up. I took a bunch of scratches out of it, gave it a more common or more uniformed appearance. And now it's just a matter of cutting it to length and putting our grip on. Let's see. Alright, Clive from Colleen. What kind of grips did he want?
He gets the 2 red decades mid-size.
Oh, the ones that are sitting over here. Didn't need any extra grips or any wraps underneath of it?
No, he just said mid-size red decade.
Okay, that's what we're going to give him then.
Okay.
Alright, see you in a bit.
Okay, love you.
Love you too. Alright, the finishing part of this is we're going to put on the grip. And in the last 2 builds, we've put on some Golf Pride decades. Now, there's a little difference here. This is, he's getting the, going to Oklahoma, or I'm sorry, going to Texas, we're putting on the Golf Pride mid-size regular decade grip. And what this is a multi-compound grip, meaning that you've got a regular tacky rubber in the front and then you have a corded grip in the back, the new version of the half cord, where this is half cord, this isn't. This has a nice texture so they can have some grip, and if the grips I took off of his clubs before were any indication, he really does take good care of his clubs. So we're going to put some of the same kind back on. Now again, I put the tape on just a little bit shorter than the length of the grip so that it doesn't stick out when you put it on, right? And using grip solvent, not gasoline. More is better in this case. There we go. There. It's on a little smoother. Seat it and align it. Wipe off the excess. Now, something to consider when you're doing this is that as these clubs get shorter, the face will appear to turn in more. Alright, and so you want to be very cognizant of where you line up the face. Different people will tell you different things. Just go straight down the shaft and that's good enough. Some people will tell you go down to the bottom of the face, top of the face, which I agree with. Ends up being the middle of the shaft in that length, but top of the, however your alignment is that you're used to. Again, with a lot of solvent. Get your initial alignment in line. Make sure it's nice and smooth. There we go. Tap it to seat it. Now the thing with doing alignment is that you don't have an infinite amount of time, so you got to get this thing done quick. That's the reason why it's so important to do it when it's nice and wet. I think that might be the, you know, when you use air, you can always just blow it and just keep adjusting it. But until you get a real handle on it, air is a little bit more difficult, but once you're used to it, it should be the same. So hopefully you like what you saw. I'm going to show you some pictures here at the end so you can see what the finished build quality looks like. And again, let's see your scores go low.